Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we send emails, stream movies, connect with people all over the world, every single day. But have you ever stopped to wonder how it actually works? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that very magic. We're talking about the technology that connects everything, from your Wi-Fi at home all the way up to the global internet.
All right, so here's the plan. First, we'll break down what a network even is. Then we'll see how that simple idea blows up from just one room to the entire world. We'll get into the actual hardware, the nuts and bolts, then tackle the big one, the internet. And finally, we'll learn the secret language all our devices are speaking. Ready? Let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. Let's start at square one. What even is a computer network? You know, the whole idea really boils down to something super simple: connection. Just think about it. You hit print on your laptop and poof, a piece of paper comes out of a machine on the other side of the room. How in the world does that happen? Yep, you guessed it, a network.
And really, that's all a computer network is at its core. It's just a bunch of devices, tech folks call them nodes, that are linked up so they can share stuff. We're talking about your computer, your printer, your phone, anything really. So why do we even bother with all this? Well, it's just super practical. It's all about making life easier, right? Sharing files instantly instead of emailing them back and forth, letting a whole office share one single printer, or getting every gadget in your house online with just one internet connection. It's the backbone for, well, pretty much everything, from backing up your photos to chatting with friends. Okay, so we've got the basic idea down. But how do we go from connecting a few devices in one room to connecting the entire planet? Let's zoom out and look at the scale of this thing. Everything starts small, with what's called a LAN. That's a local area network. You almost certainly have one. It's your home network, the one that hooks up your laptop, your phone, your smart TV, all to that Wi-Fi router blinking in the corner. Just like the name says, it's local, all inside one building. All right, let's zoom out a little. What happens when you start linking up a bunch of those LANs across, say, a college campus or even a whole city? Well, then you've got a MAN, a metropolitan area network. It's how a big company can have offices on totally different sides of town, but they all work together like they're in the same building. And now for the final zoom out. When you connect networks across huge distances, we're talking across countries, across oceans, you get a WAN, a wide area network. It's literally a network made of other networks. And the biggest, baddest WAN on the entire planet? Well, you already know it. It's the internet. So that's the scale. But how are these things actually built? What do the blueprints look like? And what are the physical bits and pieces that make it all work? So every network has a layout, a blueprint. The technical term is topology. For example, a bus topology is like one long road and every device is a house on that road. A star is kind of like a wheel where everything connects to a central hub. A ring is exactly what it sounds like. Data goes around in a circle. And then there's the mesh, which is super important for the internet. It's a web where everything is connected to everything else, so if one path breaks, the data can just find another way. Now this is where it gets really cool. We have different devices that act like traffic control for all this data. A bridge is pretty simple. It just connects two networks. But a router, that's the smart one. Your home Wi-Fi has one. It's like a super efficient GPS for your data. It looks at all the possible paths and picks the absolute fastest one. Then you have a gateway, which is basically a translator. It helps two totally different kinds of networks understand each other. So you take all these pieces, scaling up from a LAN to a WAN, using these different layouts, and adding in smart hardware like routers, and what do you get? You get the ultimate network. You get the internet. But the internet didn't just pop into existence, right? It actually has a fascinating history. It started way back in 1969 as a US military project called ARPANET. The whole point was to build a network that could survive a war. Eventually, it split into military and academic networks, but it wasn't until 1995 that the government kind of stepped back and it became the public commercial powerhouse we all use today. Okay, I need you to listen to this next part because it's a super common mix-up. The internet and the World Wide Web are not the same thing. Seriously. The internet is the hardware, all the cables, the routers, the servers all over the world. It's the highway system. The web, on the other hand, is just one of the things that runs on that highway. It's the websites, the pages, the stuff you actually visit using the internet. So think about it. You've got billions of devices all trying to talk to each other. How is that not just complete and utter chaos?
Well, it all comes down to two things. They all need to speak the same language, and every single device needs its own unique address. That common language is called a protocol. It's basically a rule book for how data gets sent and received. It's what lets a computer in Brazil talk to a server in Japan without any confusion. The main one for the internet is called TCP/IP. The IP part is like the address on the envelope, making sure it gets to the right place. The TCP part is like delivery confirmation. It makes sure all the pieces of your message arrive safely and in the right order. And for that IP part to work, every single device that connects to the internet gets a unique number. It's called an IP address. Honestly, just think of it like a mailing address or a zip code for your computer on the giant map of the internet. But could you imagine that? If every time you wanted to go to a website, you had to type in a long string of numbers? Like, who could remember that? It would be a total nightmare. Thankfully, we don't have to do that. And the hero of this story is something called DNS, the domain name system. The best way to think of DNS is as the internet's phone book. It does one simple but absolutely essential job. It translates the easy-to-remember names we use, like explainer.com, into the numbers, the IP addresses, that computers actually understand. And the process is just brilliant in its simplicity. You type in a website name. Your computer instantly shoots a message to a DNS server asking, hey, what's the number for this site? The DNS server looks it up, sends the number back, and then your browser can connect directly to the website. And all of this happens in like a fraction of a second. It's amazing. So there you have it, from a single cable connecting a printer all the way to this massive global network of networks. These fundamental ideas about connection have totally changed everything about how we live. It's this incredibly complex system that most of the time just works. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Which just leaves one big question, right? What's the next step in networking all of us together?